Like, did you notice in season 4, one of my favorite attacks that I mentioned in the review was she like solidifies water into ice and just starts spinning it in a circle, and it just decimates the monsters around.
I saw that.
And I was like, there's so much stuff they did with her. Yeah, so much cool stuff they did with her, and I like the fact that Trevor started rubbing off on her.
Hey everyone, how's everyone doing? Got a special guest here, Gamer Thumb TV. I appreciate you being here, man.
Of course.
Yes, we're gonna be
Castlevania. I'm there.
Yeah, man, that's how we met. We met through Castlevania. I remember I was it's so funny. I did the Castlevania season 1 review. I did the season 1 review, and I was like, yo, this is like my best review, my best video ever. And what I started doing was, I was like, let me go check other people's review out to see how I did. You know, like I compare what I can learn. And I was checking everyone. I was like, yeah, okay, I did okay. All right, this is good. And I came across this dude right here, Gamer Thumb, and I'm looking at the video, I'm like, wow. Yo, this shit was fucking pretty. Yo, I was like, this is pretty amazing. And from there, that's it.
We met. It was Castlevania season 1.
Season 1, yes, that's how we met. Yeah, I think you had like at the time, you had like 800 subscribers, I think, at time or something. You didn't
know. I don't remember. I'm bad at. I don't know how I meet anybody. I always forget things.
Yeah, it was from Castlevania, the season 1 review, and alas, we are here, and we're gonna be specifically speaking about Castlevania, season 4. Let me tell you, it's so funny because I was on one of your live streams. I think it was a Predator. Was it not Predator? A Terminator or No, I think it was a Batman stream. And you were like, you guys mentioned something about Castlevania season 4, and I didn't see it just yet. And you're like, well, you know, by Monday we're gonna start talking about it. I'm like, oh shit.
Oh yeah. That streaming.
Right.
Yeah, no, because it came out. I streamed that Friday, and I said no spoilers, but Monday.
Right.
Talk about it.
Right.
So, then you went and watched it during the weekend.
So what I did, I did. What I did is usually what I do is when I eat dinner, I watch a show with my kids. So we saw episode 1, and episode 1 was okay. It was starting it off, but it didn't hook me. It was after episode 2 on a Saturday I saw the whole thing.
You know, it's funny. The day it was coming out, I was staying up. I stayed up till like 12:30.
Right.
The night before, and I was like, I'm gonna stay up. I'm gonna stay up all night and watch it. I forgot that I'm Eastern time, so it wouldn't have been up till like 3 a.m. my time.
Right.
So I tried to stay awake, and I passed out. So I woke up early as hell at like 8:30 the next morning. I binged it without stopping. I binged it, then I watched it again. And then at night, I started writing my review up, and I watched the third time. I watched 3 times in one day. I wanted to catch, like, every little detail and every little Easter egg. I wanted to catch everything.
And you know what? You did. No, yeah, I mean, you caught a lot of stuff. So when you did your review, I remember you sent it to, because it was in the process, and it was gonna have like a, you have to go through the process of, getting it released, whatever the copyright stuff.
Yeah, it got copyright claimed.
Right, yeah. But you showed it to people that have special access, and I watched it. I was too tired to respond because I saw like a 3. And you're a jerk by the way. Because there's times you send stuff and it's like 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and I'm like, damn, I'm really tired, but I gotta see it. And I saw it, and I knocked out right afterwards. But the review was really spot on. And if you guys go to this guy's channel, and he does some really great reviews, and his review on Castlevania season 4 was pretty spot on. But I did. The one thing I totally agreed with you was how you started the review. And the way you started the review, and this is the way I kind of want to start the podcast, is kind of speak about season 3. Because season 3 to me was such a mixed bag that it left like a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. And
yeah,
it had some good points, but it had some really like what the fuck moments that you're like, yeah, like I don't know what direction we're going in.
I feel like season 3 had like season 3 had a lot of lost opportunity.
Right,
I felt, because I felt like they were just like Alucard, for example. It felt like he was a character they didn't know. They wanted him in the show still, but they didn't know what role to give him in season 3.
Yeah,
that's how it felt. So, the whole time he was with those Japanese kids,
right?
At first started off interesting. But then, by the end, they're dead, and he's back to square one. So it was like, that was all for nothing.
Right.
That was all for nothing.
My thing with season 3 was basically, in a nutshell, I didn't care about Alucard and what's her name, Sypha. I always get her name, Sypha, whatever. You know, his wife, the wizard. Yeah. I did not care for them in season 3. Alucard was boring. I really felt like they didn't know what they were doing with Alucard in season 3. Season 3, all I cared about was Hector and Isaac. That was my best. And you know, it's so surprising because I don't know anything about Hector and Isaac.
You're mentioning that to me. You're mentioning because you never played Curse of Darkness.
No, I never played Curse of Darkness, so these characters were totally new to me.
So that Hector and Isaac basically split the fan base right down the middle because there's people that want it just like the games, and they're not really like the game. Especially Isaac. I mean, he's Isaac in name only.
Right.
Like he's just. I don't like that character. I'm curious if anyone in the chat likes Isaac in the game universe because I can't. That character to me, he's just like a generic anime villain in the games. That's it. He's a one-off, too. They just kill him at the end, and that's it. I thought he was a lame character. What we got with Season 4, I really liked him in Season 4 because he started off as a character that just wanted revenge, nothing else. Just revenge for Dracula, and then he grew as he... You remember in Season 3 when he met the captain, and he had that whole conversation?
Yeah.
About, like, you know, because Isaac was learning to appreciate things.
Right.
And the captain told him, if you destroy humans, all this is gone.
Right.
And that started the process of Isaac questioning what he was doing, where by season 4, he just decided, like, I'm not a tool. I can choose what I want to do. I'm just going to live.
Right.
And I was like, damn, like, that was awesome. I love that. I love that little twist on the character. Some people thought it was rushed, which, you know, I can understand that, but, I mean, he had a whole season to develop that, and season 3 planted the seeds there.
Right. My take on someone that knows nothing of the original Isaac. The only thing I know about the Isaac from the video games. It's this guy with tattoos. He looks very goth. I don't know anything about his personality. I played the game very little. I didn't really get into any of the 3D Castlevanias, to be honest. But the Isaac in this version of Netflix, I absolutely loved. I think he had like one of the best character developments. Like he just really progressed as the seasons went along. He went from someone that was full of vengeance to someone that just, like you said, he just decided he just wants to live. And, you know, he made one of the best quotes when he told Hector, I just love this quote. He said, "Revenge is for children." And I'm like, you know, this guy just completely just matured, you know, he went to a different level. He just grew from season 1 from season 4.
Of course, after he massacred like cities of people, though.
Well, he had to.
I guess he had to get there somehow.
And he had that conversation with that insect demon with the, you know, when they're eating like the fruits or whatever.
Yeah, that was so interesting to me. That demon.
Yeah.
You know, I really like that conversation because he made the point to the demon that the demon's like, "Why are you having us build? We're meant to destroy things."
Right.
And he just said that's because no one's ever used you for anything but that.
Right.
So I was like, man, like it was Isaac had. If you really look at Isaac and his lines in that show, they're really deep.
Yes.
Like you take a character in that situation, they made him a really deep character that learned as he went.
Yes.
It was kind of the flip side of Hector. Because in the games, Isaac is the bad guy the whole time, and Hector is trying to keep Dracula from rising. Where in the show they kind of flipped it.
Right.
In the show, you had Hector all the way up until the end when he told Isaac, like, "Are we going to help bring Dracula back?" And Isaac said no. And then Hector was like, "I've been working towards that this whole time. What do you mean?" So they flipped the two characters. I like that. See, I'm more on with the Castlevania fan base, and you get this with the Resident Evil fan base too.
Right.
You have that group of people that want it copy and paste of the video game.
Right.
I'm not a fan of that because then what's the point? What's the point of making it?
Right.
Because at that level, you have the video games.
Right.
What the hell do you need the Netflix series?
I think, you know, when they're making their version, I believe you should have use the source material, but you can't put your own version of it. And I think Castlevania, like the story on Castlevania, from my knowledge, was never like really that detailed. I mean, but once again, I played the older ones, like the Nintendo, the SNES, the Genesis. I played some of the Game Boy ones, but I didn't really dive into the future ones. So, you know, I think as long as you keep the source material, and you respectfully respect the characters. Like, not what they did to season 3. I wasn't too crazy about Alucard's story arc, but with Hector, I mean, like I said, I think Hector is one of the best characters, one of the better developed characters, and like, I was really watching the show to see what was going to happen with Hector and Isaac. Those were my 2 favorite story arcs, to be totally honest.
Yeah, I think they did a good job with them. The problem is a lot of people wanted Hector like he is in the game.
Right.
But it was hard to do that in the show because in the game, there's a whole subplot of him acting crazy because Dracula's cursed. That's not even a thing in the show, though. So, like, the way it's explored in the game with the story they were telling in the show, this just wouldn't have worked.
Right.
It's a whole separate thing. So you kind of got to, if you want it just like the games, like, the show's just not for you at this point.
Right.
It's really not. And actually, Holy Rogue in the chat asked a question that a lot of people ask. Did Trevor have a real personality in Curse of Darkness? Trevor did not have a personality in anything.
Okay.
In the NES, he was just some sprite that didn't talk. He popped up every once in a while in Curse of Darkness. He has some lines, but he's not even a main character. He just pops up and talks to Hector every once in a while, acts tough, and he's like a boss fight here and there. But he didn't really have this deep personality at all. You still don't know anything about Trevor, other than he's the guy that killed Dracula.
I didn't even know he was in Curse of Darkness. I didn't know he was in Curse of Darkness.
So, when you get a character like that, and then you put it in a series, I mean, you really got to invent their personality. Like, if we get a season with Simon, they're going to have to invent that character's personality.
Right.
They're going to have to.
Right. Yeah, like, Castlevania 3, the story of Castlevania 3 is, kill Dracula, you find Alucard, you find... Grant's not in this. But like I said, the story isn't intense for a Nintendo game, So...
Have you read the story?
What, for Castlevania 3?
On the NES, what this is based off of, have you actually read the story?
Probably when I was a kid. I really don't remember, to be honest. I'm sure I did, I just don't remember it.
I'm looking it up right now so you can see.
Okay.
Like, you can't just copy and paste it because there was nothing to work with.
Right, there is nothing to work
Hold
with
on,
it.
Here it is. Trevor C. Belmont, middle name is Christopher, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Trevor is the infamous forefather of Simon Belmont, the mighty warrior who pulverized Dracula in Castlevania, and again in Simon's Quest. Trevor has a number of oldie but goodie attack items. That's in the instruction manual. That have been given to him by the Poltergeist King. Who the hell is that?
Who the fuck is that?
These include the Mystic Whip. Wasn't a vampire killer.
Right.
The Mystic Whip, Battle Axe, Banshee Boomerang, Dagger, and Sacred Water. Trevor is also the master of special items, including a pocket watch, invisibility potion, and rosary. That's Trevor. That's all you know about him from the NES game.
Right. They gave him personality here. I mean, and the thing is, if you see things on like Twitter or stuff, people are like, "Oh, they made him a drunk," and I'm like, "But we don't even know what he was. Like, he didn't have any character from the Nintendo games."
I'm tired of explaining that. I explain it in the comment section all the time. It's like, but how do you know he wasn't in the NES game? Like, the guy had. You read what the story told you in Castlevania 3.
Right.
But the thing about Trevor, though, that I really liked, he started off as a drunk. He was amusing as hell. He was entertaining, but you got to look at it from a character development point of view. At that point in his life, all that character experienced was his entire family died because they attacked the Belmont estate, burned it to the ground.
Right.
He escaped with his life. He's been alone throughout his whole youth. He doesn't like people. Like, the guy's miserable.
Right.
He's miserable.
Right.
So you see him develop from season 1 through 4. I mean, look at season 4. By the last episode, the guy was a legend. The guy was a hero.
Right.
Like, he developed.
Exactly. And that's the point of telling the story. That's the point of telling the story. You got to have character development.
I had a comment.
Mm-hmm.
I had a comment on my Castlevania review about Trevor saying that they completely ruined him and they made him a drunk. I got curious. I go on this person's Twitter.
Okay.
Because they had a Twitter page. And I'm reading about that, and all they did was complain about the Netflix series and how different it is.
Right.
And in one of the conversations, they said, and mind you, this is for the season 4 review, they said they only watched the first 2 episodes of season 1.
Oh, yeah, you can't really...
That's it.
Can't really... Yeah.
You can't judge an entire show just based on the first 2 episodes when there's 4 seasons of the show out.
Right.
Like there's been a lot of development there.
Right.
And yeah, like Flash Kick in the chat says, so what if he was drunk? He was an awesome drunk.
He was.
He was hilarious as a drunk.
He was. He really was. No, he was. He was. Yeah, he's a good character, man. Like I said, they really developed his character as well. He was like a drunk, didn't really give a shit about anything in the beginning, and then like he became more of a hero.
Yeah, and it basically, you kind of see it started season 1 too. After they visit the Belmont Library,
right?
He says he has that one line that I really like. He said, "This is the memory of my family. What's left of it."
Right.
So, and then he found the whip, and I guess that kind of like triggered that little spark that he's gonna try to live up to his family name. And not to mention that they show. Have you played Lament of Innocence with Leon?
I don't think. What system was that one for?
PS2. Oh, you said you didn't play any of the 3D. Man, you got.
I played one of them. Oh wait, I did play that one. That has a good soundtrack. But I didn't beat it.
Yeah,
I didn't beat it.
Origin story.
It was the first one.
Season with that. Yeah, it's an origin story. So we know that character exists in the universe. I want to see that story told.
Yeah, I played that one. I didn't beat it, but it was pretty good. But I don't, like I said, I don't really remember the story overall. What did you think of Sypha's character development?
Well, Sypha, man, she had me. All right, so I know you and me have talked about this before. I don't like magic characters. I think they're boring as hell.
Right.
I don't like using them in games.
Right.
They're usually really slow, really weak. I didn't like using Sypha in Castlevania. They made her a badass in the show, though.
Yes, they did.
Especially, and you see her powers develop, too. As their animation techniques got better behind the scenes, you see her start doing all kinds of craziness. Did you notice in Season 4, one of my favorite attacks that I mentioned in the review was she, solidifies water into ice and just starts spinning it in a circle, and it just decimates the monsters around
I saw that.
I was like, there's so much stuff they did with her. Yeah. So much cool stuff they did with her, and I like the fact that Trevor started rubbing off on her. Yes. Season 4, you see them; they're both fighting the Flea Men, and she's just bitching at him that it's his fault.
Right.
So they're like a married couple.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, they made her not a boring character.
Right.
It looks like about her.
So what I noticed about her was that in season 1, I was nervous that she was gonna die or get hurt. I totally felt like she could do anything on her own. She didn't need Trevor.
Sometimes she saved him.
Yeah, I'm with you.
That seemed to like her too.
Yeah, no, her character was really good, and she changed her character during the season because she actually started becoming more like Trevor. Trevor was rubbing off on her. You could tell. But no, her character, she's a badass. Video game wise, I never used her, but in the show, she's pretty freaking awesome.
You know what? That was funny. One of my favorite scenes when you could really see that Trevor rubbed off on her. You remember when they were in where Dracula's wife got burned in season 4, and they went underground with those people, and there was that rebel leader, that girl with the knives that was a little crazy.
Yeah, she was a weird character.
I thought that was hilarious. Yeah, I thought that was hilarious though, because Sypha tells her, "You're insane," and she goes, "Of course I'm insane."
And she's like, "What the fuck?"
Sypha turns around, she's like, "The fuck what now?"
Yeah, the fuck.
I feel like that's Trevor. That was Trevor talking, basically.
Yeah. But I was honestly, I said the same thing though. I was like, "What?"
Yeah,
that character was a little weird. I don't remember her name, but throughout the show, I was like, "What's her fucking angle?"
Yeah, you know what? I never remember any of the original character names. Most of the original characters, I forget their name completely by the end of the episode.
Oh yeah,
I know they said her name too.
Yeah, they did say her name, but she was like a filler character. She was just there to let the plot move on, but she was a weird character.
Well, and you know what else too? All the way up from season 1 to season 4, you had people that want Grant in the show, which he was never going to happen. The writer doesn't like Grant,
right?
But I feel like the chick that Alucard's with now. Well, that they had a little thing going on,
right.
One from the village. I feel like her character could have easily been Grant.
Yeah,
because, she was from the village of Dynasty. She was the leader of the village. That could have been Grant as a character easily, right. And it wouldn't have needed much explanation.
Right. He was. I don't know. From season 1 to 2, I wanted to see Alucard. I was like, yeah, I'm really interested. Season 3 totally turned me off on not him, but his story. They literally did not know what to do with Alucard. That's how I feel. And they just tried to make something explicit to, shake it up. and it just didn't. It rubbed people off the wrong way. Yeah. And then that was like my main concern going to season 4, what they were gonna do with Alucard. And after episode 1, I was like, okay, like I was a little skeptical, to be honest. But they definitely did him justice. They gave him the shield, the technique, his sword attacks. You know, he did the zigzag with the sword. They did a lot of things in this episode. I mean, in this show that was from the actual video game.
You know what the problem is with Alucard, and to any Alucard fans in the chat, like it's true. Like I like him as a character. But he's kind of a one-note character. If you think about it, his whole shtick is he wants to stop his father.
Right.
Because if you look at it, look at the games universe.
Right.
He was in Castlevania 3 as a boss. Then he just joins your party. We saw that in season 1. From there, he doesn't participate in Castlevania at all.
Right.
Until Symphony of the Night.
Right.
Because he woke up, there wasn't a Belmont around, so he decided to do it. So that's the problem with Alucard, is the fact that like that's his whole shtick is, you know, he wants to defeat his father, and now Dracula's gone. So there's a struggle.
Alucard reminds me of Scorpion from Mortal Kombat.
I can see that.
He has one purpose, and like once that purpose is done, like where do you go with him?
You know, it's funny you mentioned that. Not to get off topic, but I follow a lot of the Mortal Kombat people on Twitter, a lot of the creators.
Right.
And one of them was talking once, John Tobias, he was talking about Scorpion. Right. And he said that was one of the challenges with Scorpion.
Right.
That once they killed Sub-Zero, they didn't really know what to do with the character.
Right.
So if you look at his early stories, like they're all over the place. And that's the thing. You always have those really cool characters that have a huge fan base, but they're like one-note characters.
Yeah, that's how I feel about Alucard. Like once his main thing was, you know, once Dracula was gone, you know, he was in the castle, and you know, yeah, so he met two people that tried to rape him. I guess I don't know. I don't know what they were. I don't know. I don't understand that.
I don't mind like raunchy, explicit stuff. I mind it when it comes out of nowhere.
Yeah,
because that to me they did it just for shock value.
Yeah, that's the problem. They did it to like they had
like. Oh no, go ahead.
No, it's just like they had nothing with him, and they were like, let's just do something crazy to maybe get some type of excitement or reaction from people, but it was a negative reaction.
Well, it was just out of nowhere, because I remember when they had that like sex scene in the end of season 3, I was just like, the fuck? Where did this come from?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, there was never any build. Like, maybe it'd be different if there was some build up throughout the season, but it was just out of nowhere. Hector's having sex, so we have to make Alucard have sex.
Right.
While these demons are getting fight. It's just shock value.
You know what?
That's all it was, and I think it's kind of lazy when you do it.
Season 3 had a lot of that. Season 1 and 2 did not have all this explicit stuff going on. Season 3, the story was, to me, they had like some type of challenge with the story, because they had like a lot of explicit stuff to just like move it, you know, to keep it going. But they didn't have that in season 4, which is better, to be honest.
I think it's what I told you yesterday. I think they saw that there was a lot of criticism about season 3 and just kind of backtracked. Because if you notice, let's examine Alucard in season 3. At the beginning, he's alone and angry inside the castle by himself.
Right.
Depressed. Meets these two people. They do what they do.
Right.
He kills them. By the end of season 3, he's right back to where he started. Just a little angrier.
Right.
So they left him off like, I don't trust humans. I'm just going to stay in this castle. I don't trust anybody anymore.
Right, right.
But season 4, what happens? He gets a letter that people need help. He rushes off to be a hero again, which is fine. I think that's awesome. That's Alucard.
Yeah.
But it's completely different than where he ended in season 3. So you could kind of see in season 4, they were like, all right, let's forget that happened. Let's move along.
Yeah.
So I think that was better. I think that was better for the character.
No, I agree.
Because
I agree 100%.
In a different mindset now.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I did like how they took him away from what happened in season 3. They really didn't mention much about season 3. They kind of put that to the side. They moved on, which was good. What I do like is that they gave him the shield. He was doing things from the video game, you know, turned into a wolf. Like I said, the whole thing with the sword. There's a special move with the sword that it does like a zigzag. They did that in the season, which. Yeah, that was good stuff right there.
Yeah, they did a good job with him.
Yeah.
I think they did a really good job with Alucard this season. I think it kind of like redeemed his whole arc from 3, because, like I said before, 3 it felt like it kind of had no direction.
Yeah,
which is funny because season 3 at the same time also introduced important plot points, like Saint Germain.
Right.
You know, like Saint Germain was introduced in season 3. You had Isaac develop, so it had its moments, but it felt like, all right, season 3 felt like we've got these original characters we want to explore, but we don't know what to do with all the people that we introduce in 1 and 2.
Right.
So,
right.
I don't know.
So
it felt like a filler. It felt filler.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I wanted to touch on Hector. I was a little confused with Hector because in season 3 he got abused. You know, like he was like he got abused. And from my understanding, what I was hearing, like Hector from the video game's a badass. So I was expecting him in season 4 to get revenge. And he did get vengeance, but in a different way. It was more on a, you know, setting up, use his brains. I was expecting him to, like, be vengeful, you know, like, to really go in there. I thought he was going to kill everyone. I was expecting in season 4 he was going to kill everybody. And it was actually Isaac.
Yeah, I like what they did with Hector in season 4 more so than 3, because in season 4, Hector's weapon was his intelligence.
Yeah.
That was his weapon.
Right.
He was working behind the scenes, and he was trying to screw Carmilla over.
Yes.
You know, that essentially Carmilla is to blame for everything he went through.
Right.
Because she's the one that took him from Dracula's castle and manipulated him.
Right,
so, like, he like, honed in on that target. So, he had, like, for example, he has no reason to kill the other vampire ladies out there.
Right.
I think that's what he thinks as a character. Having said that, that's another example of backtracking. Because you remember at the end of season 3, he just had sex with Lenore.
Right.
She put that, like, vampire slave ring on him.
Right.
They don't even really refer to in this season much.
No.
Other than showing it every once in a while. And she, remember when she beat his ass? Like,
yeah,
she was
I remember.
His ass.
I remember.
But then at the beginning of season 4, they're flirting with each other.
It was nothing. Right? It was nothing happened.
So it's like, wait.
Yeah.
Like, how did we lead to that? So I think it's one of those things where they're like, all right, let's just act like that last part didn't happen.
Right.
Interesting thing here, because I know you didn't play Curse of Darkness. So in that game, Hector basically, all right, Hector in the games worked for Dracula, realized that what Dracula was doing is wrong, and left him.
Right.
He hid out in a village and met a woman called Rosa. Married her. She got burned at the stake.
Okay.
Because of Isaac. Isaac said she was spreading poison apples in the village.
Okay.
So the people burned her alive. So that's why he wants to kill Isaac in Curse of Darkness.
Oh, okay. So that's
in the series, none of that happened.
No.
And this Lenore character is like, she was kind of the replacement for this Rosalie character. Instead of him getting married, he just got attached to this vampire. So that was kind of the replacement. But yeah, his story was mostly original for the series. They didn't really game at all.
I personally like the Lenore character. Season 3 was her introduction. I did like how she played him, but like in season 4, it's like it never happened. Like it wasn't serious.
It didn't flow.
It never happened, and that was like one of the things I was kind of confused about, because like I said, they were fine, you know. I'm like, okay, whatever. We're gonna act like, you know, fuck it. We're gonna act like it never happened. We're just gonna keep on. But her character, she felt useless. The character herself. Because she was the diplomat in season 3, and in season 4 it wasn't needed. So her thing was like, I'm kind of like used now, and she was starting to have issues with Carmilla, who's a fucking badass.
Yeah, I do like how that all led to Carmilla, because Carmilla didn't know what the hell she's doing.
Yeah,
Carmilla didn't know what the hell she wanted. She was just really angry, wanted to take everything away from men. Like she's the most dangerous feminist in history.
Carmilla is a badass. You know, when I was doing research, when I was about to write the book I wrote, I guess all of last year I was getting involved in that. So I found out that Carmilla, and you did a video on Carmilla. I found out that Carmilla was an actual character that was written, and it was actually written by Dracula. And Bram Stoker was actually inspired from the character Carmilla. So he took a lot of the stuff from that novel and he put it into the Dracula storyline. So there is a good chance that if this character was never made, there would be no Dracula.
Yeah, it's true. See, with Carmilla though, like I really liked her a lot this season, because they made her I like her on the show more than the games, because in the games the character doesn't have a story at all.
I think she's just a boss, right?
She's a boss that pops up every once. She's like one of the Koopa kids in Mario Brothers. They just pop up every other game and you fight them and they go away. There's no story to it. So that's another character where they had to invent.
Austin says Carmilla is going insane. The Holy Rogue said Carmilla wanted to go on a warpath. Yeah, Carmilla didn't even know what she wanted. She just wanted to, she wanted shit dead. She wanted to like rule the world, and she wasn't even sure what she wanted.
Well, you know what I really liked though, what line I like that Lenore told her, and it really highlighted Carmilla's character in season 4, like where her mindset was. She said, all right, if we do this, are you going to be happy? Like, will you be satisfied?
Right.
Like, Carmilla, she's like, fucking,
I don't know. I don't know.
I just want this. But I was like, oh man, like that's the point where the villain is so far gone that all her sisters were turning against her. Like, there's no plan.
Yeah,
you just want us to do this because you're angry and power hungry. And one thing I thought that was funny, that shows how out of control she is they just kept implying, and they said it last season too, like, can't leave this bitch alone. Yeah, you can't leave her alone. Right, because once you leave her alone, she keeps making plans. Right, that go nowhere. So essentially, that was her plan. Like, at least Dracula had the plan. Well, actually, no, Dracula's bad. He just wanted
he just wanted every human dead.
Yeah, but see, Dracula wasn't above lying either, because he lied to Hector. So you really don't necessarily know what Dracula wanted. Right. He was angry, but that's kind of how Carmilla is. Except with Carmilla, it's more of her hatred for men for what they did to her when she wasn't a vampire. Right. You know, so she just wants to go on this rampage with, like, what's the end game? She had no end game.
There is no end game. She's playing it by ear. Yeah. And people are dying. Yep. There was a epic battle between her and Isaac. I would say it's probably one of the best fight scenes in the whole show. And you know what? I was like, damn, I think Carmilla's gonna die here. You know, I was like, I think this is it for her.
No way she's gonna get out of that.
And I was just like, damn, I really like this character. But you know what? If someone's gonna go out, that's the way they gotta go out. You know, with a big fight scene, good dialogue. It was intense. And you know what? The animation in that fight scene was fucking amazing. Excuse my language. I don't mean to curse, but and this is the thing that's killing me. I've seen a lot of people say that the animation this season was bad, and I beg to differ. Like, I really liked the way the animation was looking. It looked different, and I liked it. But I don't see where people are saying the animation was worse.
Well, here's the thing about animation. Like, I always give credit to the anime, because I know a couple of people that work on the show. Right. Oh, okay. And they use a lot of different techniques that they learned from working on the show before. Okay. So all these things that you're seeing, like that fight scene with Carmilla, had they had something like that season 1, they wouldn't have been able to pull it off. They wouldn't have known how. Right. So the techniques, like, they keep getting better at it as the seasons go on.
I personally love the animation.
And you know, sometimes people will share, like, it looked awesome, and you know, it's funny, like, people will post a screenshot of, like, a frame that looked bad. Right. But you can't, like, when you're watching animation, you can't just pause one specific frame and say it looks bad, because the whole idea is that it's in motion. Right. Like, of course, to pause a specific, you know, frame of the entire cell, it might look bad. Right. But when it's in motion, you can't tell that.
No, absolutely not.
That's a common aspect of animation. Season 4 had the best animation.
Oh, without a doubt.
You wouldn't have seen anything like that. And season 1, 2, and 3, you wouldn't have seen that.
I don't know how to describe it, but it just looked unique. It looked really good. I don't know how to really describe it. It looked much better, in my opinion, than any of the other seasons.
Yeah. Well, you know, one specific moment that I thought really elevated the animation was, you know, when Carmilla and Isaac are fighting. If you notice, he's got this. You might not know this because you didn't play Curse of Darkness. In Curse of Dark, you have these.
I heard
Castlevania Pokemon.
I heard about the what are they called? The familiars.
They're innocent devils. Yeah, they're innocent devils.
I found that out that creature that's following him throughout that whole scene is actually in the video game.
That's his. Let's call it his Pokemon. That's his Pikachu in Curse of Darkness.
Okay.
So that was like a little Easter egg to Curse of Darkness. But what was really cool is you see Carmilla fighting him, and he's blocking, and at the same time, his demon is blocking, like, her attacks.
I was seeing that.
Like, they're congruently fighting together, and I was like, damn. And I'm sitting there watching. I was like, just from an animation point of view, that is not easy to pull off. Like, that is very difficult to pull off and get it to look good, and it looked great.
It did look good, and I love the fact that the demon was in sync with everything he was doing. He even at the end when Camilla, committed kamikaze, he just came out of nowhere and just took the hit. It was an amazing fight between the both of them. And like I said, I love Carmilla, and I was like, oh my god, they're gonna get rid of her, but they did it the right way. You know, she went out with a bang.
You know what a lot of people wanted to see, which I kind of did too, but I understand why they didn't do it. Is when you see Carmilla for the first time in Simon's Quest, she's a mask.
I remember
it's Carmilla's mask. Right, she's like trapped in a mask, and that comes from the original novelization where there was like at a ballroom party and they're wearing masks. That was the inspiration. So a lot of people wanted to see Hector trap her in the mask, and I was like, that would have been cool, but you gotta look at it from the Netflix series. When have they ever introduced a mechanic in the series where you could trap people in masks? Like, they haven't introduced anything like that. So,
right.
You know, I understand why they didn't do it. That would have just come out of nowhere. Like, watch the show with the assumption that you've never played a Castlevania game. You're going to be like, why did he put her in the mask? Why don't they just put every vampire in?
Right.
You know, so you got to separate the games from the series.
No, absolutely. You can't take it. You can't. It can't be a carbon copy. It really can't.
Yeah.
I want to speak about Varney. Now this character, Varney, yeah, and he was really an important part of the story. And the minute that this character came up and he said his name, there was this character Varney is actually a vampire in an old book. And I never read the book, but I definitely know there's a character named Varney. It's an old book. When I was doing the research, when I found out Camilla, Varney is another book that I knew about. This character, you know, I was trying to figure out where we were going with this character. Like, what does he play? And he actually ends up being like a big part. But I just found it amazing. Like, he always wanted to be recognized, or he thought everyone would recognize.
Yeah. One thing about it, and I guess I'll say this because everyone, like, I mean, we already said there's gonna be spoilers.
Yes, there's spoilers right now. We're gonna do a spoiler, so because I already know where you're going. So
but I have to say this because it goes along with the character. So for those that haven't watched the show, this is an enormous spoiler. So don't get mad, big spoil. But so this character Varney, the whole time it was Death, posing, as a vampire, and and if you watch the season again in retrospect, there's little clues to that you don't pick up on originally.
Really,
if you notice, whenever they describe him, everyone keeps talking about this really foul smell with this vampire, and I was like, you know what, that makes sense, because, like, you know, death, rotting flesh, you know, it's like you don't connect those dots until after the reveal. You're like, you know what, wow, they were putting little seeds in there for the fans. So when you watch it again, and they talk about Varney and how bad he smells all the time, and he has a really unique scent, like, that's them hinting at the people that are familiar with the Castlevania verse, like, all right, that's not who he seems to be. So I thought he was a really good character.
So yes, Varney was amazing. Now the thing with Death, they gave you hints throughout the episode. Like, there was some episode they foreshadowed, like, you know, the moment they had the Grim Reaper statue and they're talking about Death. The moment I was gonna say Richter, the moment Trevor was fighting with the sickle, I'm like, oh yeah, Death definitely gonna be in this somewhere. He's gonna be, and it was like
favorite episode the whole show. And
let me tell you, like, we were like 9 or 8 episodes in. I'm like, and I'm watching, like, wait a minute, we're like really deep into the story, and there's no Death. And I thought maybe he wasn't gonna be in it.
Well, you want to hear something too? Again, going back to Curse of Darkness, like, a lot of people think the show had nothing to do with Curse of Darkness, but there was a lot of reference, a lot of callback to Curse of Darkness. In Curse of Darkness, there's this mysterious priest called Zed that, following you around, he pops up every once in a while. He's a rival to Saint Germain, and then by the end, it's Death that was manipulating everyone to bring Dracula back. So instead of having this mysterious priest called Zed, they just made him Varney in the series. So they definitely pulled from Curse of Darkness direct. They just changed stuff around to, like, and it's better that way, because if that character would have appeared in the show, all the fans would have known already. Instead, now we have something that's actually surprising with the original character. I think it works better show.
And Death was freaking amazing, and the fights.
That someone in chat, Mercury, said, my sister spoiled the whole Varney Death twist because she looked up the cast.
Oh, that
can't
sucks.
do that with shows.
Hey, Calvin, how you doing, man?
No, I was so mad.
Oh, that's terrible, man. The fight scene between Trevor and Death, I swear to God, while I was watching this, I was like, yes, this is how it is. This is how it is when you fight Death in the fucking video game.
I couldn't sit down. I was standing up.
I was like, this is how I felt when I was fighting Death, and I was like 8 years old, and I was playing Castlevania. Everything that happened in that scene, that was me. That's how it feels like. It's like it's fighting Death in the Castlevania games is a freaking headache.
See, but that scene was so good, and if you pay attention to the details of that scene, like, there's so many little things. Like, if you notice, it really shows how insanely strong Trevor is as a hunter.
Yeah,
because he had a broken arm. If you notice, when he got slapped by Death, his entire left arm went limp for the rest of the whole fight. On top of that, he also had his right eye injured.
Yes,
he couldn't open it.
He was screwed up. Yeah,
he had one eye, one arm, still beat him. And also, here's a fun fact. You know, before he stabbed Death with a knife, you know, when he took the whip, set it on fire, and just whipped, like, at light speed?
Yes.
So Castlevania Judgment. It's Castlevania fighting game on the Wii.
Yeah, I know it. Yeah, yeah.
Good. Simon has this. I don't remember what it's called, Ultimate Judgment or something. Mm-hmm. He has his like hyper combo move.
Okay,
that's what Trevor did.
Okay.
He did that move, and then he jumped over and stabbed Death. But that scene, man, I'm not gonna lie, I rewinded it 5 times.
Yeah.
My fiance, she was like, "You're watching it again," and I was like, "Stop! I have to see this again. You don't understand how epic this is."
Yeah, no, it was amazing. No, Death was. I love the Grim Reaper in the video games, and I've been waiting for this for a very long time. The one thing, what I was curious was, what was the link between Death and Dracula? What was the relationship? How did they get to know each other? This version kind of doesn't really have them together, like they never interact.
Yeah.
So that to me was like a kind of like a bummer, to be honest, because I did want to. The main reason I wanted to see Death in Castlevania is I want to see the relationship between Dracula and the Grim Reaper.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of a loaded explanation, but I'll give you like the Reader's Digest version, because in the game, Death was always just like a sub boss.
Right.
But in the lore, in the original, it's because Dracula has the Crimson Stone, and whoever has the Crimson Stone, Death served.
Really?
That's it. It's kind of convoluted. Doesn't make a lot of sense. They've never really like detailed it. But you haven't played the Lords of Shadows game, right?
I've played it. I didn't beat it. I went like halfway. I didn't beat it though.
That universe, they definitely pulled from that universe, because that universe has nothing to do with the original Castlevania. It's its own universe.
Right.
There's a character called Zobek.
I know Zobek.
Ultimately, he's Death in that universe.
Oh, is he? Oh, okay.
He's like a rival to Dracula, and he's manipulating behind the scenes. So they more pulled from that version of the character, where instead of Death just being kind of Dracula's bitch for no reason,
right?
He's this force of nature, which I like when Trevor explained that there's things out there that are like these elemental creatures that feed off these natural energies, and he just eats Death. When people die, he feeds.
Right.
So he wanted Dracula alive, so Dracula would rampage and kill untold amounts of people, and then Death would feed. So it's almost like a symbiotic relationship as well.
Right.
So I really liked how they did that, because again, if they went with the classic universe, again, there's not much to tell.
It's not much.
So they have to invent it.
No, it's a good twist. No, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't have thought about it. It's a really good twist. Game Maestro, hey, what's going on, man? He asked, you guys think Death was responsible for Lisa's death and make Drac go on a killing? I'm trying to remember what happened in season 1. Yeah, that's possible.
I don't think so at all. And I think he just took advantage, because he said he was in Vampire, or he was originally in Dracula's court, so he was with Dracula. But we saw what caused Dracula's wife's death. It was just the bishop,
right?
So they didn't reveal that he was posing as him or anything. I think he just took advantage of the situation, because how would he know that Death was going to go, or that Dracula was going to go on a rampage? Dracula was just like king of the vampires,
right?
So when he saw that Lisa died, he was like, I can feed now. So he just took advantage of the situation. Really, that's what I don't think it was worth. I don't think I would like that.
Yeah, no, I don't even remember season 1, to be honest. how it all happened. Like, my memory is shot.
The bishop thought she was like married to the devil, and
yeah. That's right. The bishop.
If they made it Death that was secretly responsible behind everything, I think that's kind of convoluted and unnecessary. Like in the original Batman, when they made that Joker killed the Waynes, it's like, we didn't need to do that.
Yeah.
Like, why can't it just be something that happened?
Right. Right. And I forget what's these two vampires. What's her name? Strovich?
Are you talking about the Russian one?
Yeah, the one where
we didn't talk about the Russian guy.
No. Oh my God, I didn't even put an image of him, to be honest. I forgot his name.
What was his name?
I don't remember his name.
I forgot it. Ratko.
He was pretty badass.
I liked him. One thing I really liked, that character was short-lived, but one thing I liked about him was that he was actually a scary character, because he thought all the other vampires were wusses. Like, they're all hiding, they feed, they go back in the dark.
Right.
And he unleashed, said, we're monsters, let's act like monsters.
Yeah.
Like, I like doing what I do. I like killing people relentless.
Right.
So they made him a good threat. I think they should have kept him around a little more, because they killed him kind of quick.
Well, he did fuck up. I keep on cursing. He did mess up Trevor.
They gotta go cares.
Yeah. It's for me. I'm trying to be a better person. I know it's not gonna happen, though. I've been saying that for like 5 years already.
Anyone from my channel, it's in chat. Subscribe to Goblin and check out his streams when he does them.
Thanks, man. I
funny
appreciate
'cause
it.
Every once in a while, I'll be like, I'm gonna try to stop cursing. I'm not gonna curse. 2 seconds later, fuck. All the time.
Yeah, man. It's I say it's gonna change, but it's not.
Also, Striga, that was the vampire's name. Nataku said.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
Striga,
yes.
she's the big one.
Yes.
The, crow armor.
I actually like that character, man, and I love the scene. She puts that armor on and she just goes out there and she's a beast. She is a straight up beast.
I feel like this other character, Marana, I think her name was, the one she's with.
I don't remember her name. Yeah,
I don't think she didn't really do anything.
Nah.
Throughout the whole show. Like, I feel like she was just kind of there.
She's there.
Like, she didn't really do much.
No, she
Striga, though, they did a good job with her in season 4 as in making her like a terrifying force. My problem with those characters is I think those characters fell victim to the season 3 problem.
Yeah.
They're introduced, they made them interesting, and then didn't know what.
Right.
Like in this one, she was sent out to decimate areas for Carmilla, and then she starts doubting it, and then they go back home, and then they leave. So it's like at the end of the day, it's like they didn't really know what to do with the characters. Like they don't really have a thing of their own going.
Yeah.
So again, it's another season 3. It's a season 3 leftover in a way. You know?
Yeah. You make a good point. A lot of things from season 3, they really didn't bring it into season 4. They kind of like shied away from it, to be honest. I don't even remember her name, to be honest. The one that's her, the one that's not. Wears the armor. I really don't know her name, but she wasn't
Striga.
No, Straga's. I could remember Strega. Her lover. I don't remember what her Marana. Yeah, she really didn't. She really didn't have a huge. She wasn't really a huge character in the story. Yeah, she was just there. And like I said, when she put her day armor on and she went out there and she was just like killing everyone. I was like, an animation at that scene, all the fight scenes, the animation, the fight scenes, they looked different and they looked freaking amazing.
Yeah, that animation where she was just slaughtering all those like farmers coming at her. Like, it's just, you stop and look at it, you're just, wow, that's freaking good.
Yeah, man.
But again, it's all stuff that you can't pause it and look at it because you'll find all kinds of imperfections. But when you're just watching it in motion, like, it's beautiful.
It really is.
It looks really good. Which I'm surprised they got a lot of people would say that they took forever to get the show out. I'm surprised that they got it out as fast as they did.
I don't remember
10 episodes again, and with all the new animation styles they were putting in there, like I thought it would take longer.
How long did it take?
I thought it was good for like
how long did it take to come out? I don't even know. Like, when did season 3 come out?
Oh man, wasn't
season 3 didn't season
like a year and a half, right?
Was it?
A year and a half? I don't know.
It's all the same to me, man. Everything is one memory.
I thought that season 4 was going to take at least till like how long we get here.
Right.
I didn't think it was going to be as it was.
Right. So yeah, their story arc, they were just basically they basically were just saying Carmilla's basically going crazy. They're on this killing spree, this useless killing spree, and they ended up going their own way once decimated. But you kind of get the sense you got
get back to the castle. Did you see like Carmilla explode?
Yeah, and they were like, you know what? I'm not up for this.
Let's go that way.
We're not for this.
Yeah.
Really quickly. Now you were telling me, and like I said, this character to me, I knew nothing of. I didn't know he was in the game. Saint Germain, right? That's his name?
Yeah. By the way, Game Master said March of last year.
Oh, March of last year. I think then it didn't take that long for it to come out.
Exactly. So a little over a year.
That's listen.
It's quick.
Animation is nothing to be. Animation takes time.
Yeah.
And you got to come up with the story. I mean, no, I think it came out pretty fast, to be honest.
It's the whole production.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fast. Quick.
Right.
Yeah, but anyway, Saint Germain.
Yeah. So this guy's from Curse of Darkness. I didn't know that.
Yep. So, all right, this character, he's almost original in this show.
Okay.
In Curse of Darkness, he's a time traveler.
Okay.
And he pops up every once in a while. He's a rival with Death somehow, which is never explained. And then he's a boss fight, and then he just disappears again and is monitoring you through time.
Okay.
That's it. You don't know anything about him. There's no woman he's looking for in the Infinite Corridor. He's not trying to bring back Dracula. You know nothing of this character other than he's some mysterious time traveler, and he never showed up in any other game. That's it. So the Saint Germain in the Netflix series
had a lot more, had a bigger role.
Made up.
Yeah, and it had a much bigger role.
They played with the idea that there's more to him because he's traveling through the Infinite Corridor. He's met with people at different times, so he still has that aspect character. But they gave him motivation.
Yes,
he's got that woman that he's looking for.
Right.
I have no idea who that is.
Right.
She's made up.
Right. You gotta do what you gotta do, man. You gotta do what you gotta do to move. Make the story go. Dragons. So he actually mentioned something about Striga is named after a Polish vampiric monster that appears as a woman and shapeshifts to an owl. Notice the owl authentic of her armor. That's interesting.
Oh, really?
So this is an actual character. I gotta look this up now. So is this like
that goes to show they really did their research though.
Yes.
When it came to vampire literature.
Yes. Like I said, look, Carmilla Varney. I didn't know about Striga. I didn't know she. I want to look that up now. I'm very curious now. Now I'm curious.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. So Saint Germain, he was he played an integral role. He was basically played by Death. To what was exactly he had to do? He had to how did he resurrect Dracula again?
So all right. So the Infinite Corridor. They introduced that, by the way, in Curse of Darkness.
Okay.
That's just a stage you go.
Okay.
That's like a map you go through with like a mystery. It's almost like a dimension between dimensions that kind of connects everything in reality. Right. So in the Netflix series, Death was manipulating him to open it and made it seem like he was going to be able to, find his lost love and bring it back. Mm-hmm. When really all he wanted to do was yank Dracula and Lisa out of hell, pop them back up on Earth. Like that was the whole game, and then he got played. So that was really all it came down to.
That was weird how the way they were resurrecting Dracula.
Oh man, it was all right.
I was like, this is fucked up.
Twisted.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. Like, what are they doing? And I was like, when Alucard was seeing the body was starting to get possessed by his father and his mother, I was like, yo, that's gotta be fucked up for Alucard.
Mad Alucard is?
Yeah, of course.
You saw how mad he got. He said, "I would fuck murder you." Like he was, and I was like, "Oh my god."
Yeah,
but it's crazy because in the games, Dracula just pops up and he just pops out of his coffin. And just
right.
But in this, they basically cut apart multiple bodies. Frankenstein sewed them all together, men and women parts, into one body, and then brought both Dracula and Lisa back in that body.
I wanted to ask you a question. When they were sewing up the bodies, I don't know if I saw this. Was there I saw that ring? The one that Hector cut off?
Yeah.
Was that being sewed on? Did you see that?
I don't remember. I think there were a couple scenes where they showed people those vampire rings.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like they never properly explained really what the purpose of those rings are.
I thought maybe that was Carmilla's finger or Hector. I was trying to figure that out. I don't know if I was because I was seeing this at 3:00 in the morning. So I was kind of half asleep. So I was like, did I just see that? So I got to rewatch that now because I could have sworn I saw a finger with that ring and they were sewing it on the body.
Well, what was crazy about bringing them back though, I was in shock watching that because I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
It was crazy because they were basically bringing back Dracula into a body made of multiple genders, multiple body parts, and then his wife was inside the body trapped with him.
Yeah,
so
man.
That's whole plan was he's going to flip out, he's going to go crazy, he's going to destroy everything.
Yeah.
I was like, it was twisted. But one thing I never understood on the show was the whole Lisa thing. The fact that they why did they resurrect Lisa? Why not just Dracula, And the whole thing about Lisa being in hell, they're putting Lisa in the show.
But why was she in hell though?
She just died and that's it.
But why was she in hell?
So that's what I don't understand because she was a good person.
Yeah.
Unless it's just the fact that that she married Dracula. I don't know. That never sat right with me.
I don't. Yeah, I don't understand. I was like, what? They're chilling in hell. I'm like, well, why is she in hell?
That I had an issue with because I was like, because if you think about it, that kind of resolves Dracula's story. He'll just let someone kill him, go to hell, and then he's with his wife.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be more tragic if
I think
she was in heaven and he was in hell without her?
Yeah.
That would fuel his anger even more.
I don't see the point of her being there. I think it would have been better that he was alone.
Yeah.
It would have been more depressing.
Yeah. I didn't care for that.
And
like Austin said in the chat, it never got explained.
Yeah.
It's why is she there? She was helping people and that's it.
Right.
She was a good person.
Right.
But yeah, I guess it's because she married a vampire, but still, to me, I was like, that's kind of...
Nah, it doesn't make sense. That part didn't make... But, that was... And they ended up at the end, after it was all said and done, they were resurrected. They went on their merry ways to live their life. And then what? And that was it. And from my understanding, overall, I love season 4. Huge improvement from season 3. I think season 2 and season 4 are my favorite seasons. I love that Death was the main villain in this, and he, like I said, he was a badass. Like, oh, you know what, man? Before I go into any further, I love how they put the boomerang in.
Oh yeah, that was funny. I like that. I thought it was funny because they explained why the cross affects vampires.
Yes.
Because remember,
their vision.
Sypha was like, well, why would a Hindu vampire react to a cross?
Right.
And he said it's more like geometry of it. If you put like objects in their face, it messes them up because they're highly advanced predators. I was like, that's fun, but it makes sense.
Right. Yeah, I did like how they put a lot of Easter eggs in the show, and a lot of they put a lot of creatures from the video games. Well,
yeah,
they had that weird.
It's funny too. Oh no, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say I was actually talking to one of the animators about season 1 because people ask all the time, why is it only 4 episodes? And nobody thought that it was gonna get a season 2. Like Netflix, because you got to remember when it came out.
Yeah,
that's when Netflix was kind of new to like having original content.
Right.
So they pitched Castlevania.
Yeah.
And Netflix originally didn't want to do it.
And remember how?
But they were more like, all right, 4 episodes, and let's see what happens.
Remember, season 1 was that's nothing. Season 1 was nothing. So. Season 1, oh my god! I remember watching season 1. I was like, that's it.
Yeah. Well, that was the test season. So basically, after that, Netflix saw the interest. They're like, all right, go for it.
Yeah.
So they funded like a whole season.
Right.
So there was almost like if that would have bombed, there wouldn't have been any more because Netflix was already talking about it.
No, absolutely. 4 episodes is nothing.
Well, and I don't know if you know about the history of how that show got made.
No, I don't.
Before that, I'm talking like back in 2012. That was originally going to be a direct-to-DVD Dracula's Curse.
Oh, really?
Originally, the script was written and everything, and then they readapted it for the Netflix series.
Interesting.
It was just going to be a DVD direct-to-video. That's it.
That could have been interesting. Kind of glad they went to Netflix.
Ask you, so what do you think about the ending of season 4? Because the whole Dracula and Lisa thing being resurrected, it didn't get explained. And if you notice, Lisa doesn't know why she's back. Dracula doesn't know why he's back either. So there's that giant question, like how are they back and why? That's why I think there's something real suspicious going on because I don't buy that nice little happy ending with a rose with a bow tied. You know,
maybe they're in a different dimension or honestly, I really didn't think about it because like
what's the last thing that happened with them before that scene?
Didn't they just what happened? I don't remember.
You remember?
I don't think I do.
They were being resurrected in that body.
Right.
Trevor threw the boomerang. It exploded.
Oh, the body exploded.
It exploded. They died.
Right. So
and then suddenly they wake up happily together in a field. It's really suspicious. That's what I mean. Like there's something more to it. I think. All right. Here's what I think. Okay. I think they left it that way purposely because let's say it doesn't get another series, like what seems to be happening. Let's say they don't get another series. They've got this nice little happy ending that they don't have to ever explain. But now, if it does get another series, which it looks like it is, they have room to provide some kind of explanation. If that happens, I think it's going to be the kind of thing like, what if Dracula's back in hell? And this is almost a scenario being played out for him. Because you got to remember, Death said, Death wants Dracula nice and angry.
Right.
So what better way to fuel his rage than to make him think he's back with his wife again, back on Earth, and then it's all pulled away from him again, Right. I don't know. I don't buy the happy ending because it just there's no explanation for it.
No, it's too easy.
And then for them just to leave it like that.
No, that makes sense. That makes
Dracula. Even Lisa's like, "What happened? Don't you have a theory?" And he's basically like, "Nope, I have no idea." I was like, "Nah, there's more to it than that." That's a question.
Hey George, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. I was gonna say, I mean, they did say they're gonna continue this. They're moving away from this, so I'm thinking maybe they'll jump into a different series of Castlevania, maybe a different time. Not sure which one. Not sure which one.
I think it makes sense because they said that it's going to be a new series within the same universe, and it makes sense because, for example, let's say you do Leon Belmont, and that's the prequel. It's not going to be season 5 because it's going to be all out of order,
right?
And they're not going to go back and call it season 0, right? So it's a better idea just have a separate series and has its own set. So I can see them doing that. I think that's where they're going to go to. And if you actually on my review, and to answer George's question, he said, "Where would you like the new series to take place?" I'm going to get to that because in my review, I posted an interview with one of the producers of Castlevania.
Okay.
And he said he's well aware of the lore. He knows that goes all the way to Soma Cruz, Simon to Richter, and all that.
Okay.
So they're working out the details right now. Like, this is confirmed. They're working out the details of where they're gonna go.
I think you posted this on Twitter. Did you post that on Twitter?
Yeah,
like you did?
Twitter too.
Yeah.
Yep. I posted there too. So I'm hoping everybody wants Simon.
Right.
I hope they kind of slow it down, and instead of Simon, we get Christopher. Because if you remember Christopher, he's the Belmont from the Game Boy games. That's in between Trevor and Simon, and he's always forgot. So I think if Netflix could take that lesser known Belmont, they could do a really good job, flesh out his universe, make him really cool, and then eventually move on to Simon. So I kind of want to see a Christopher era, like Castlevania the Adventure.
Right.
Or, well, you know what? First, I want to see a cool, like how Dracula became Dracula in a Leon season. I think that would be better.
Is that Leon? That's the one for PlayStation, huh?
That's one for PS2, the origin story.
I didn't know that was an origin story.
Yeah, it was the origin story of how Dracula became.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. I never get that far in the game.
Yeah, the whole part. And it shows how the vampire killer whip got created. It shows how the Belmont rivalry of Dracula started. Like, it's the foundation series.
Really?
That's
interesting.
What I want to see. I want to see the Netflix version of that.
Yeah, I'd be down for that.
Yeah, Daki said it better not be Soma Cruz. I don't like Soma. I'm not a Soma fan from the Game Boy Advance and DS game. I've never been a fan of that character.
Right. So overall, what do you think of this? I know you did the review, but since we're here live, what did you think of the season?
Best season.
4.
Yeah, it was the best season, honestly, out of the 4.
Yeah.
Because this is the one where 1, 2, and 3 just kind of, it brought all these characters together. They met each other.
Right.
And then they all go their separate ways, and this brings them all together again. And it shows how they all grew.
Yes.
So I think that's where the season really shined. And by the end of it, I mean, it's setting up seeds for the sequel, too. Because by the end of it, you've got the bloodline continuing. You've got them all together again. You've got this village that's surrounding the Belmont.
Right.
There's going to be more Castlevania.
Right.
It's ridiculous that there is.
No, I agree. And they do have a lot to work beyond. So the material is definitely there. I believe it was very successful. So I don't see any reason. And they've already confirmed that they're gonna continue at a different time period. I personally, I love the whole Castlevania series. I was ecstatic that they started when season 1 was coming out. I thought season 3 is the only one that was iffy, and I thought season 4 rebounded extremely well from the mess from season 3. Now, season 3 wasn't 100% bad. It just had some parts that you were just like, whatever. But it definitely, out of all the seasons, season 3 was the worst one. Season 4 was...
I feel like it just didn't have direction.
Yeah, it felt like it was just there. It was just, hey, let's make season 3, and that's... And the only thing I liked about season 3 was Isaac and Hector. Their story. Everything else I did not. I didn't care. Honestly, I didn't care. But season 4 put it all together. I was interested in all the characters. The only issue I really had with season 4 was that Hector and Lenore, it never happened. To me, too much happened in season 3 to just kind of like, hey, what's going on? You're like my favorite. It was kind of weird. They were too buddy.
Well, it's kind of like there was something in between season 3 and 4.
Yeah. And they didn't explain it in season 4, whatever that was in between.
Yeah. George in the chat asks, is there any lore in the games universe about the Belmont Village? Yes.
Oh, that's a good that is a good question.
Yeah, there is. In the Game Boy, in the Christopher story with Castlevania the Adventure, they live in a village like that kind of reveres Belmont.
Okay.
Like the whole village surrounds the clan and all the villagers know them and celebrate them. Same thing with Simon. So that's really what they plant the seeds for in season 4. And also in Order of Ecclesia, there's a Weigel village that's filled with descendants of Belmont clan. So there's some kind of Belmont village. It's always been a thing.
I didn't know that.
They pulled that right in the game. Yeah.
I did not know that. Hey man, if there's a question, this is the time. If you have a question of Castlevania, this is the time to ask, because this guy
all day, man.
This guy is like an encyclopedia when it comes to Castlevania.
I talk Castlevania all day.
I want to see them adapt bloody. No, I was just reading Mercury. He says I want to see them adapt Bloodlines or Rondo, but that probably won't happen. I love Rondo.
If it happens, it'll be a while though. It wouldn't make sense if suddenly like with Bloodlines, if they go from this season to like World War I, which is what Bloodlines is, it wouldn't make sense to have that massive time jump. So if we ever get that, it'll take time. Hey, Art Sensei's here. What's up,
hey, what's going, man? How you doing, Art?
Sensei.
Oh, Thero. Sorry, this guy's freaking amazing, man. This guy made me a design, man. Oh, beautiful. I'll be posting it soon. If you guys love art, you got to follow this guy, man. He does amazing artwork. Huge Castlevania Castlevania fan too.
Everyone should be a huge Castlevania.
I've seen his.
If you're not, what do you do with your life?
Austin, I've seen Gamer Thumb's timelines. The thing is, I honestly, when I say this, I have a bad memory. You ever see the movie Memento?
So I know what it is. I don't think I've actually.
Oh, it's a great. I'm the character from Memento. I haven't gotten to that point. It's a guy that he constantly he'll have a conversation and 5 seconds later he forgets. So he would write stuff on his arm or post it like that. Like he'll remember what just happened 5 minutes ago. But no, I've seen the timelines and they're very detailed. Like if honestly, dude, I don't know how you freaking do it.
With the Castlevania universe, they can really do whatever the hell they want because there's so in the games. The Castlevania universe is such a mess because you got to think it was you're talking about a series that started with the NES that barely had a
right.
So what happens is over the years you get more installments and then they try to make a more detailed storyline. Mm-hmm. So eventually what happens is there's plot holes all over the place. Then you get new people working on the games that don't like these games that came before, and then they start plucking games out of timeline, and then it's a big ass mess. Right. That's what Castlevania is. It's riddled with plot holes. This is canon, this is not canon, and then they switch. It's a mess. But that's why I like the series so much, because it's kind of all right, let's get a cleaned up, detailed story without having to worry about what the NES instruction manual said.
Right.
About Trevor that I read.
We are actually getting some really good questions. Flash Kicks asks, how would you guys feel about Lord of Shadows series? Okay, so Lord of Shadows I've played and I went pretty deep. I didn't beat it, but I know Lord of Shadows gets crapped on by a lot of people, but I personally like the game. I think it's a different direction and I love the story actually. The story is actually deep. I mean, from what I've seen, I felt like it had a really gothic undertone, a very vampiric story, and I also kind of got the Lord of the Rings vibe off too. I would love anything with Castlevania, but yeah, I would definitely be down for Shadow.
I love Lord of Shadows series. Do I want to see it as a Netflix series? Probably not. And the reason I say that is because I want them to stick with the classic universe. Lord of Shadow was
different, yeah,
completely different retelling, story, reboot, nothing to do with it.
Right.
And if they ever do that as a Netflix series, they're going to risk losing the fan base. A lot of the classic Castlevania fan base hate Castlevania Lord of Shadow. They can't stand it.
Yes, I know.
I don't know if you know this. Did you know, for example, in the Lord of Shadow universe that there is no Trevor and Alucard? They're the same person in that universe.
I didn't know they were the same.
Alucard.
No,
they're the same person in that universe. Yeah, so it's again. This is where classic fans have an issue.
You just freaking twisted my mind. I'm like, what? What the fuck?
They are the same character in that universe. They're not two separate people.
Oh, that's crazy. No, I didn't know that.
Completely unrelated.
Wow. That's cool. All right, so let's do a little closing comment here on the Castlevania. So Castlevania 4, it's pretty amazing, man. Loved it. I really think, like I said, it really rebounded really well from Castlevania 3. I think it did, for me, as a Castlevania fan, it did justice. I was satisfied. I think they ended it well. Love that they put Death. Carmilla, and I think Isaac is my favorite character from season. Isaac had the best development. He's my favorite character. The fact that they put Death in, beautiful. And I felt like I was so scared they were going to pull a Game of Thrones where the final episode was just all over the place and they just killed off characters just to complete their arc. That was so frustrating. And they did not do that here. They ended it properly for every character.
Yeah.
I think Lenore was the only one that was I'm gonna call it a day and go into the sun. But other than that, everything was fine.
Yeah. That caught me off guard too. I was like, damn, all right.
Yeah.
What's interesting too is Hector, you notice he said he was gonna write a book about his experience. I wonder what book he's gonna write.
He has a lot to write about season 3.
Yeah.
Because he got fucked up season 3, man, really bad.
Yep. Yeah, it was a good season.
Yeah.
It was a good season. I think it's going to be even better from here on out, especially when we get a new Belmont, new era. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I think as long as fans keep watching the show, which, it's been doing really well.
Right.
They'll keep making it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. So, Game with Them, I personally enjoy this. I hope we can do this again. I actually like the idea of the podcast. It's very simple. I enjoy talking about this stuff. I could go on, but, we got shit to do too, man.
All night.
Okay, so I'm gonna end the stream here. I want to thank everyone that stopped by. I want to say, hey, thank you, Gamer Thumb, for coming on here and just talking Castlevania. Honestly, we could have gotten into other stuff, but that it would have it would never end.
We started near the end.
It would never end, to be honest, because we'll jump into another. Yep. We and you got too much in common. Like, we'll just continue. So we're gonna wrap it up here, man. I just want to thank everyone that came in to support and just listen to us, talk about Castlevania and some other stuff. Gamer thing, do you have anything you want to say before we leave?
Not really. I mean, everyone that's in here that hasn't subscribed to Goblin, scroll down, hit that subscribe button. You won't regret it.
I appreciate that.
I really do. On Twitch, subscribe. It'll be good for you.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. All right, guys. And listen, if anyone's here that's not subscribed to Gamer Thumb, I highly suggest subscribe, dude. Very talented. He puts a lot of effort into his videos. All right, so I'm gonna wrap this up, guys. Have a great one.